Good morning Malacanang Press Corps. Welcome sa Mindanao R. Kasama po natin si Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella.
Good morning. Today we have National Security Advisor, retired General Hermogenes Esperon Jr. to give us updates on the Marawi situation. He will also give an update regarding the visit of the President to Marawi. Ladies and gentlemen of the Malacanang Press Corps, let's all give a warm welcome to Secretary June Esperon. Sir.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen of the Malacanang Press Corps. We just came from Marawi yesterday. In my 4 sorties to Marawi, which included an attempt to join the President twice, meaning the President has been attempting, this is the 3rd attempt. Surprisingly, yesterday, napakaganda ng panahon. Parang I'm beginning to believe that there's such a thing as a weather of Duterte weather, so to say. Pumasok kasi kami ng helicopter. We used to go there. I have been there by land, by heli, and talagang umuulan ang mga panahon na to. Pero talagang pinagbigyan ng ating Pangulo na makarating sa Marawi at makausap ang ating mga tropa before SONA, if we are to reckon with SONA. And so we have a lot of things going on. The operations there, in fact, were in full blast, so to say, because there were some support fires as well as small arms fires yesterday while we were there. And there are still 5 joint task groups that are operating under one bigger task force. I would say the area now is now constricted to 3 barangays. Ang estimate namin is about 700 by 700. That's about 49 hectares. Medyo lumiit na. There are 96 barangays in Marawi, by the way, and we used to have the main battle area in 12 barangays, but now it's in only 3 barangays. But this is where we have the built-up area, the center of the population of Marawi, and so we would expect a slower advance, but nonetheless our troops are determined, and they have learned so much from the past experiences. The President has expressed his appreciation for the troops and to the commanders, of course. When we were in the command briefing, when he went down to the troops, meaning the troops who were not engaged yesterday, because most of the troops are anyway still engaged in the front lines. The President told them about how he had been thinking of them also, especially when he reads about the casualties. Not only of the soldiers, casualties from our ranks, pero kasama na rin ang civilian. And at that point, ayoko man sanang i-relate sa inyo, pero mga about 1.5 minutes, parang hindi siya makapagpatuloy dahil ikaw din kaya ang nalagasan. Naramdaman ko na rin yan dahil platoon leader, company commander, pag ikaw ay nalalagasan, hindi mo malaman kung anong gagawin mo. Lalo na kung paano mo sasabihin sa mga pamilya, di ba? But the President was able to give the commanders on the ground the way ahead, what he expects to do, what he expects of the troops. But he is very positive that we will be able to take Marawi in a few more days and start right off with the reconstruction and rehabilitation. Secretary Lorenzana briefed the President on his plans as the administrator of martial law in Mindanao, but primarily on the plans for the reconstruction and development. He will be ably assisted by the Secretary of Public Works as the Vice Chairman. We will have a reconstruction group. The SWD Secretary will head another group. Secretary of Education will lead another group. Trade will lead another group. And health, 5, health, education, social welfare, trade, and construction. But we are putting up another one, which would have a more profound effect because we will be talking about de-radicalization and countering violent extremism. So the President, while he had his emotional moments, is very positive that we could find solutions to Marawi and, for that matter, Mindanao. I'd like to take questions from that. Pasensya na kayo, tayo nagmamadali.
Questions, Marawi issue first. Tuesday New.
Sir, yung sinasabi nyo kanina na medyo naging emotional si Presidente kahapon, nakita namin sa video nakamasid kayo sa kanya. Sa part ninyo, anong nararamdaman nyo nung time na yun? Nakita namin, sir, na nakamasid kayo kay Presidente habang siya'y emosyonal. Sa parte po ninyo, ano naman yung naiisip nyo, nararamdaman ninyo nung panahon na yun?
Flashback. Ako flashback. At saka yung tawag natin doon. Yun muna ako. Kayo din naman, ano? Oh. Kayo din naman, ano? Yung kasama nyo sa trabaho. At hindi lang yon. Let us remember na siya ang commander-in-chief eh. Siya nag-declare na martial law. Siyempre, cargo niya lahat yan. Sino ba naman ang hindi matitibag? Di ba? 97 casualties plus civilians. Plus what is up ahead in terms of reconstruction, development, and so many other things. Kaya medyo daunting ng konti. Hindi nga konti. Teka, pupunas lang ako ng salamin, ha? Anong nararamdaman ko? Di, siyempre, ganun na nga. Medyo nakakatibag damdamin dahil somehow you feel that you are responsible. Of course, he is responsible. And siya nga nag-declare na martial law, sabi niya, ako kasi ang nag-utos sa inyo na pumunta rito eh.
Follow-up lang, sir.
Another topic na lang.
Apo, another topic, sir. Doon sa speech niya, sir, habang kaharap niya yung mga sundalo at kinakausap niya, may nabanggit po siya doon na ayaw na niyang makipag-usap sa NPA dahil marami na raw utang yung NPA, marami na raw pinatay na sundalo at pulis niya. Is this one way of saying, sir, na pinakakansela na talaga niya ang peace talks? O mayroon po ba siyang nabanggit na ganoon after nung...
Oh, well, at the moment, the presidential advisor on the peace process has already announced that we are canceling the back-channeling trip. Last Tuesday evening, the President met with the GRP panel, meaning Secretary Bebot Bello, former Secretary Nani Braganza, and the rest, Angging, Mr. Attorney Moncopa, Mr. Arellano. And we agreed. In that meeting, we also joined. And at the end of that meeting, the President during the meeting, the President was looking for timelines. When do we get to at least put a stop to depredations, extortions, burning, arson, etc., attacks? I want to have a timeline. Yun ang gusto ng Presidente. Then, I will allow you to go on back channeling, but let us remember that we cannot continue fighting while they want to talk. Meaning, si Presidente naman kasi alam ko ang nature niya. Kung ano sinasabi niya, tinutupad, di ba? So when you talk and go into negotiations, there better be no attacks and atrocities. Dapat, pag may usapang pangkapayapaan, sana dapat mabawasan yung mga atrocities, di ba? Kaysa naman, you look, over the weekend, there was a burning of 5 construction trucks in Gumaca, Quezon. Only the other day, the 17th, 21 na ba ngayon? The 17th, doon sa Lianga, sinunog na naman yung sa isang banana plantation na maliit lang naman, sinunugan ng 5 truck at tinagpas ang 8 hektarya ng saging. Ano ba yan? Ideological ba yun? O is that, what do you call that? Another week ago, mayroong mag-iitik sa Cotabato among so many other duck racers, hinihingi ng pera. Nung hindi makabigay ng pera, kinuhang itlog, binasag yung ibang itlog. Ano ba yan? And so, despite all of those and other atrocities, you remember the Maasin Iloilo attack on the police headquarters. We remember the planting of IED in Quirino within last week. And despite all that and so many other things before that, ang presidente pa rin ay gusto pa rin ng peace talks. So, sige, back channeling. But ito ngayon, while they were about to leave, alam naman natin na naambus yung convoy ng Presidential Security Group. Di ba? Doon sa, nakalagay doon, Task Force Davao, linagyan nila, tapos condemn the atrocities of the NPA. Ganon pala sila nagmaman ng checkpoint na yun. Di ba? Ang mahirap nito, ugali pa naman ng ating Pangulo, si Mayor Rudy, nasa Davao siya, and he was there last Tuesday and Wednesday up to yesterday. Ugali pa naman niya na pag yung nandiyan sa Davao, umiikot lagi yan. Kung minsan, unannounced, may bibisitahin siya. What if he was in that convoy? Para namang you are really taunting him, di ba? What if siya na nga ang laman ng vehicle na yun? I hope it was not the intention of the New People's Army, but hindi natin masabi. Kaya palagay ko, ayaw mang magalit ng presidente. Sa kagustuhan man niya magkaroon ng usaping pangkapayapaan, kung ganito naman ang nangyayari, may basihan talaga na pag-isipan kung itutuloy pa ba natin ang usaping pangkapayapaan. Di ba? Natanong na rin ako niya no isang araw. Sabi ko, gusto pa ba niyo ng usaping pangkapayapaan? Tinatanong mo ba ako na sundalo o former presidential advisor for peace process? Doon yata sa closed door namin sa Senado. Sabi ko, peace talk ako lagi. Kung sundalo ako mag-uunang magnanais ng kapayapaan. Di ba? Kung OPAP ako, kung ako ang PAP, di lalo na dahil trabaho ko ang peace process. Di ba? So, either way, gusto natin peace process. Wala naman, there's no other way. But to stop the fighting, sabi nga ng presidente, bakit naman tayong mga Pilipino for almost half a century have been Kailan ba ang NPA? 1968. Di ba? Ganito na lang ba? Itutuloy ba natin itong labanan Pilipino sa Pilipino? Well, mahabang debate ito, but those are the thoughts for now. At we are talking about from the historical perspective as well as from what is really happening now.
So sir, we can expect na magkakaroon ng formal announcement from the OPAP canceling the peace talks already?
May statement kasi nga.
May statement na, di ba, Sec. Ernie?
Back channel lang po yun.
Yung back channel lang. Yung back channel lang. Because,
So we can still hope, sir, na mayroon pa rin.
Oh, well.
Hintay lang ng tamang panahon.
parang ano yun tamang panahon. And it's in God's... yeah.
Tama ba yun, sir?
Tamang panahon. Tama ba yung environment ngayon? Tama ba yung environment na mag-usap? Lalo na parang lumalabas na mayroon tayong problema sa Marawi. Ako naman, ayaw kong sisihin ng NPA na habang may problema sa Marawi, may ginagawa sila. Dahil baka sabihin nila sila pa ang ginagawang dahilan para sa martial law. But there are other things that we have to do for Mindanao. With martial law in place. But of course, with or without martial law, there are many things that we have to do for Mindanao.
Okay, follow-up NPA. Henry Uri.
Secretary, good morning. Tama ho ba na sa napakahabang panahon ng pag-uusap tungkol sa peace talks, ngayon lamang bumukas ng ganito kalaki ang pintuan ng gobyerno para kausapin po ang makakaliwang grupo? And kung ngayon lamang, wala ho kayang third party involved na nagiging dahilan ng derail nitong peace talks na ito? Bakit ho gusto ng presidente, kinabukasan, iaambusin naman yung kanyang PSG, ano hong nakikita ninyong tunay na dahilan ng derail ng peace talks?
Hindi, wag na nating sabihing PSG yun. Pagpalagyan na natin ibang unit. Di ba? Baka naman sabihin natin nagiging personal, di ba? Na kung hindi mo inambos yung PSG, may back channeling pa. Pero it could have been any other group or persons na dumadaan sa Buda, Bukidnon, Davao. Because that's the boundary of Davao City and Bukidnon already. Papuntang Cagayan de Oro yan eh. Because the President has been visiting Cagayan de Oro so often, kailangan maglagay ng vehicle doon. Ang tinatanong mo kung ngayon lang ba nagkaroon ng puwang
Nang
na malaking chance?
ganito kalaking
We do not want to also say na si Presidente lang ang nakaisip ng peace process because noon pa naman, mayroon tayong mga peace process. Let me count the ways. The years. Di ba? President Marcos did it. President Cory, of course, even let free some of the political prisoners just so we could start the peace process. Di ba? Sina Joma. Which is, of course, debatable. But that's still part of the peace process. Nation building, sabihin na natin. And so, after President Cory, National Unification Commission, itinatag ni President Ramos, todo-todo ang peace process. Tinanggal pa niya ang Republic Act 1700, tama ba ako? Yung anti-subversion law, na-repeal yun. Ang naka-repeal nun is a general, President Ramos. And the author was General Ermita. Just so, we could have we could create the environment. Magkaroon ng puwang para sa usaping pangkapayapaan. Kay President Estrada, I'm sure he would have been thinking of also going into it kung mas matagal siya, but ang naging simula niya kasi all-out offensive. President Gloria Arroyo, nandun nga ako eh. Ako peace process officer pa nga ako eh. And he was really into it, yung peace process. She was really into it. Ang daming ginawa. National Social Integration Program. She even went to Colombia to study the peace process there. Ang dami niyang ginawa. President Aquino also with the MILF, BBL, yung peace process niya. So lahat mayroong ginawa. But ito ngayon ang kay Pangulong kay Mayor Rudy. Ang dami niyang ibinigay na pagkakataon. Well, wag na tayong magsabi ng iba pa kasi pati sa kabinete kasama nga natin nagtatrabaho. If only to make the point out, make it clear that he is for socio-economic reforms. Di ba? At talaga namang gusto niyang ma-accommodate talaga na pumasok yung peace process. After all, he is a Mindanaoan, so he wants the peace process with the MILF. He wants the terms of the Moro National Liberation Front final peace agreement to be fulfilled. He wants to shepherd the peace process with the CNN, so-called CNN, CPP, NPA, NDF, which are all present in Mindanao. Sino pang magkakaroon ng mas malaking pagnanais na malutas lahat ng problema ito? Kundi isang presidenteng taga Mindanao. Do you know that the bulk of the NPAs are now in Mindanao, providing 80% of their logistics?
So,
Kaya nga pati yung mag-iitik nadadali.
So sir, yung tanong ko ho na, yan na nga, ang dami-dami na hong inisyatibo ng gobyerno from Marcos time up to Duterte's time. Anong tunay na dahilan ng hindi pagkakasundo ng may third party ba?
CPP,
Na
NPA ba?
Yeah, may third party ba na nakikialam dito para hindi matuloy yung peace talks?
Akala ko third party na facilitator ang tinatanong mo. But,
Hindi po. Yung iba ang pakay, ibang agenda.
spoiler.
Spoiler, yeah.
Wag na tayong may mga suspicions tayo, but let us not blame others for that, for whatever is happening. Tayo na mismo ang mag-solve ng problema natin dito. Kung mayroon mang nakikialam, that's part of their advocacies for ways of life, democracy, whatever.
So meaning may pinagsususpechahan kayo na meron talaga?
Hindi naman ako ganun kasuspetyoso, pero wag yun ang pag-usapan natin. Kasi parang sinasabi natin na hindi natin kayang gawin ito para sa sarili natin. Kaya natin ito eh.
Okay, thank you, Henry.
Okay, sir.
Maricel Nalini, TV5.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Sir. Sir.
Yes. Ay,
Sir, good morning. Sir, given all those scenarios, how do we now treat the CPP, NPA? Do we now consider them as enemy of the state?
oh yes. For all intents and purposes, they're an armed group with about 4,000 armed group whose ultimate aim is to topple government and take over with their kind of governance that they want. So, pag silang nanalo, edi wag tayong umasang yung ating way of life, democratic way of life as we now see it, will be what will be in place. Hindi naman sila nagbabago. And they want to attain this through armed revolution, armed struggle.
So if they are already considered as enemy of the state, does it mean that we're now conducting pursuit operations against the
We
members
are
of NPA?
conducting operations against the CPP, NPA. Pero kung may ceasefire, tigil tayo. But during ceasefires, they may not commit and violate laws of the land.
Alright.
Kung ginagawa nilang extortion, ano yan, you cannot allow that. When they attack civilians, you cannot allow that. You have to go after them. In fact, doon sa isang napagkasunduan na major agreement, the Carril Comprehensive Agreement on human rights and international humanitarian law. Isa sa mga maraming provisions yan about safeguarding the civilians na dapat hindi mo ina-attack ang civilians. Eh, pinagmamalaki nilang, sundan natin yung karhil. Pero ano ba yung tinatabas mo yung, yung pananim, yung mga saging? Ano ba yung nanununog ka? Ano ba yung mag-iitik ka lang, tinatamaan ka pa? Ano ba yun?
So sir, yung declaration natin ng martial law, does it mean nakasama na rin yung NPA doon sa target sa hinihinging extension?
This is how I look at it. But the president, of course, has his own. He has a lot better. His grasp of the matter is a lot better because he is homegrown local executive from Mindanao, and he knows what has been happening all over Mindanao. Ang tanong mo ay, part ba ng martial law ang NPA? Ganito, wag na muna natin pag-usapan ng martial law. But I will tell you that there are real threats to Mindanao. And what are the threats? We have armed groups consisting of the New People's Army. We have armed groups consisting of the BIFF. We have armed groups consisting of the Abu Sayyaf group, who, in fact, some of these would now want to pledge their allegiance to the ISIS, Islamic State of the Levant, ISIL, or ISIS, or Iraq, Syria. Maraming armed groups. So those are the real threats. And there are still imminent threats. What are these? The imminent threat would be fighters, foreign fighters, foreign ISIS fighters who could, in fact, be coming in and joining the ISIS lineup here in Mindanao. So nandiyan ang threats. Now, we have declared martial law for Mindanao. How would you use martial law so that the Abu Sayyaf in Jolo and Basilan and Maguindanao and all other places would not be joining each other or reinforcing each other? How would you use martial law so that the NPA and the old alliance with Moro rebels, especially the BIFF, would not get into effect? In other words, pasok ang NPA dito. Now, while you are fighting in Marawi as well as in Jolo and other places, how does that affect your deployment of forces if you are addressing also the NPA in the eastern half of Mindanao? So, sasabihin pa ba natin na hindi kasali sa assessment or sa ating ground works ang New People's Army? Papabayaan ba nating manunog? Papabayaan mo nang manabas? Ay gagampanan din ng may kailangang gampanan ng armed forces at ang Philippine National Police. Otherwise, kung pababayaan mo yun, edi anong silbi ng inyong armed forces at saka Philippine National Police and government itself? Hindi ba? So, please, siguro yung tanong natin na nakasama ba sa martial law ang CPP-NPA? They may not be the immediate reason, but necessarily they are in the equation.
Okay. Joseph
Sir, on
Moro?
that point po, kahapon sir sa speech din ni Presidente, no, sabi niya, pagkatapos nito, mag-ubos yung mga ulo dyan, referring to Maute, mag-reorient tayo, NPA na naman. How do you interpret this statement, sir, from the President in terms of operations on the ground?
Ayaw na muna natin i-discuss yan. Sinabi niya yon. Kayo na ang bahala mag-isip kung ano yung ibig niya sabihin. Pagkatapos nito, NPA naman. Eh ano pa nga ba ibig sabihin nun? We have to address the threat.
Okay.
Pababayaan mo ba? Babalikan ko na naman eh. Pababayaan mo bang kukutungan yung mag-iitik?
So sir, after Maute, NPA na yung next target?
Well, it's not really after Maute, but we have to address all of this simultaneously. Remember that we have to address the threats in Mindanao. But there are, beyond the talks of martial law and all these emergency measures, what do we want to do for Mindanao? I believe that first and foremost would be we should shepherd the peace process with the MI, with the MN, with the CPP-NPA, whether they like to talk to us or not, or whether they want to have the enabling environment for the peace talks with the CPP-NPA. Kung gusto nila makipag-usap, ibigay nila yung karampatang environment para makapag-usap tayo. But we must shepherd the peace process. Number two, we must be able to pursue our developmental projects sa Mindanao. Ano yung developmental projects? Ang tagal na natin gustong gawin ito. Kailangan magkaroon ng relays, ng train. Kailangan ng seaports, ports, bridges. Kailangan ng agricultural development. Kailangan mo ang mga power plants and many other things, irrigations. Yun ang developmental projects. That's number two. Number three, we must be able to pursue our anti-illegal drugs problem in Mindanao. Nakita nyo naman sa Maote, 12 kilos ang nakuha doon. At nakita na rin namin yung laboratory sana nila. They were about to supply the whole of Mindanao and parts of Visayas. Number four, dami natin gagawin sa Mindanao, no? Oh, di ba? We have to have, of course, immediately, yung reconstruction and development of Marawi, which is appended to the developmental projects. So number 5 would be the bigger thing, a big thing, which is structural reform. Governance. Alam mo ba kung bakit nagkaganon ng Marawi? Because of failure of governance, failure of so many things. So aayusin natin yon, and we could go farther into, when you talk about structural reforms, then we go to good governance and federalism itself, or autonomy, meaningful autonomy for the Muslim region.
Sir, just staying on the topic, but Secretary Abella, sabi ni Presidente po kahapon din sa speech, ayaw na niya makipag-usap sa NPA. In terms of policy, what does he mean by that, sir?
I suppose, as the good journalist said, we follow that line. You know, we follow that line that at this stage, there's no talk. Okay, walang usapan until there are the conditionalities for come again.
The enabling
The
environment.
enabling environment.
All right, sir. So right now, ang status natin, suspended yung 5th round of talks. Given that statement, is the President terminating the 5th round of
No,
talks?
we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
Yung 5th round of talks kasi, suspended yan dahil sa ceasefire agreement. What the President really has been wanting was to have a bilateral ceasefire agreement in place before we go on and proceed with such things as comprehensive agreement on the socio-economic reforms. Siguro, pag-usapan natin ang socio-economic reforms, ginagawa ba ngayon ng gobyerno yan?
Sir, just
Kailangan ba talagang, ang NPA lang bang marunong ng socio-economic reforms? O assuming na sila lang nakakaalam, hindi ba't mas magandang gawin ang socio-economic reforms kung may katahimikan?
Sir, just say, sir, can we have a complete statement on the status of the peace talks given what the President said in Marawi?
Regarding the peace talks in Marawi, everything is on hold at this stage until there is the conditions that are favorable will be agreed upon by both parties.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, last two questions. Tuesday New and Philip Tubesa.
Secretary, so napapanahon or tama lang po yung request ni OSG, o Office of the Solicitor General, kahapon to request from the court na i-cancel na po yung anong tawag nito? Bail bond doon sa
Bail
NDF
bond, yeah.
consultants. And be ordered na ma-arrest ulit sila and ma-detain,
Oh, well,
given the circumstances now?
we have in the talks with the CPP, NPA, and DF, there is the mechanism there which we call the joint agreement on the security and immunity guarantees. JASIG. Baka nagkamali pa ako ng meaning nun. Basta JASIG na lang. Ganon na yun, JASIG. Na kung may peace talks, mayroon silang guarantees na magkaroon ng consultants. Kaya nga si Mr. Benito Chamson and Mrs. Chamson, maski na nakakulong sila, maski na alam natin na Benito Chamson was the head of the CPP NPA here, ginawa nilang consultant. So bibigyan mo ng security and immunity so that he could join the peace process in Norway or in any other place. Maraming matataas silang nakakulong, pero sige, bigyan ng bail. Trinabaho nga ni, ni Pap at saka ni Secretary Calida. Kung wala pa lang peace talks, di balik muna sila. Kasi tayo naman ang nagbigay ng ng paraan. Pinag-usapan naman yan na mayroong immunities and immunity guarantees.
So,
So
sir,
kung walang peace talks,
would you advise them, sir, na magkusa na lang, na isuko na yung sarili nila?
ay alangan naman mag-advise pa ako sa kanila, baka sabihin nyo kasama ako sa panel nila. But in the name of national security, why not? Why not? I mean, pag mayroon namang peace process, bukas naman ang loob ng ating Pangulo na pagbigyan lahat. Ang daming umaayaw nga. Kung alam nyo lang kung anong sinasabi rin ng mga tropa, pinaghirapan naming ilang taon naming trinabaho yan, tapos pakakawalan. Pero in the end, yung sundalo man nakakaintindi. Oo nga pala, baka sakaling pag umalis sila ngayon at nagkaroon ng magandang usaping pangkapayapaan, baka mawawala itong problema ito. O, di ba? Akala nyo, hindi naintindihan ng sundalo yun? In the end, they will be told by their commanders anyway. And naintindihan naman. Sasabihin ng commander naman, martial law, pag-igihin natin itong martial law natin. May complaint ba kayo sa martial law, sa actuations ng sundalo? Mayroon yung iba Pero, Commission on Human Rights, sabi, zero violation.
Okay.
Gusto ko maraming ang kwento dyan. Yung 3 sundalo na sumakay sa isang airline. Tapos, nag-excess baggage. Tinanggal nila yung iba para iwanan. Pero sabi nung co-passengers, sa amin na lang, karga mo dito sa baggage ko. Hanggang yung 7 kilos na excess nila, na-accommodate ng mga succeeding passengers. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Sa ngayon, tuloy, yung airline na yon, parang AirAsia ba? Thank you, AirAsia, for giving us 40 kilos of baggage allowance. Malaki-laki yun, ha? Kasya na yung mga boots ng mga sundalo, mga uniforme nila.
Okay, last 2 questions on peace talks, Pia Gutierrez, to be followed by Philip Tubesa. Last question, Joseph Morong, other issue.
Sir, good morning. Sir, I remember Secretary of National Defense Delphine Lorenzana issued a statement a few months back saying that the reason kung bakit nagpapatuloy yung attacks ng NPA is because the leaders, the communist leaders that the government is talking to do not have control of their people on the ground. Do you see the same disconnect, sir? And are you convinced that the government is talking to the right people who have control over their fighters on the ground, who can say, pag sinabing stop yung attacks, ay kaya nila talagang utusan yung mga tao nila on the ground?
Hindi kami ang nagsabing wala silang control, kundi si Mr. Joma Sison ang nagsabi niyan. Sinabi niya na those things are happening there and we could not command them because we have no control over them. We have to relay your complaint to their commanders. Kaya doon pa lang nung sinabi niyang they have no control over their forces, aba, titignan din namin. Kasi sasabihin ko, teka, bakit ka nakikipag-usap sa amin? Bakit ikaw ang ginagawa nilang sugo dito? Sabagay si Professor Joma Sison is not a member of the panel but the NDF consultant. Siyempre, isipin mo, inamin na nga niya na wala silang kontrol eh. E di titignan namin kung wala siyang kontrol nga. Eh mukhang ganun na wala siyang kontrol. On the other hand, he can always say that na wala siyang kontrol dahil they do not want to take responsibility for that. And they could always feign, innocence? Na, oy, wala kaming pakialam doon, sila may gawa niyan. Eh, teka, ano ba to? So, nonetheless, even with those doubts, the President has always accommodated them. Ang ano pa rin niya sige, pagpatuloy natin. Kung minsan medyo hindi mo na titignan mo mabuti kung bakit kaya. Sa akin lang kung usapan lang naman sa Mindanao sa situation, sino bang mas nakakaalam kundi siya? And all the inputs that he is getting. So, he is the commander-in-chief, he is the chief executive of the land. So, okay kami doon. Pero talaga lang, mukhang nagkapuno-puno na yata. Di ba? Lalo na kung doon sa mga attacks ng NPA ay tinatamaan civilian na taga Davao at sundalo na malapit kasi si Presidente sa ano yan. Nakikita nyo yon? Halos lahat ng wounded o casualty ng AFP, PNP, pinupuntahan niya. Kasi bawas sa ano niya yun Hindi lang sila, sabi nga niya, they are soldiers of the Republic, but they are also my soldiers and policemen.
So,
Diba?
given that, sir, ibig sabihin, the NPA has no clear leadership. So, who do we talk to?
Oh, well, yun ang ating titignan, hahalongkatin. So, let's wait for the enabling environment. Let's see how things go. But I will always agree with Secretary Duresa that the peace process must not be closed permanently insofar as the CPP-NPA is concerned.
Another question, sir. Sir, the legal counsel of the NDF was on ANC the other day and we was talking about something along the lines na why should we stop with our operations, with our attacks on the ground when the military itself hindi tumitigil din sa kanilang sariling atrocities and operations. So,
Which
how do we address
atrocities?
it?
Atrocity na ba
Atrocities,
yung... ibig mo sabihin, yung sundalo hindi na mag-ooperate maski na mayroong mga atrocities dyan, extortions, burnings, etc. So, committing atrocities, lagi naman na lang sinasabi na gano'n yung sundalo, atrocities, kasi tuta ng Amerikano. Teka. Ba't nadamay na naman ng ibang bansa dito? Atin na ito
Okay, Philip Tubesa.
Di ba? Atin na ito
Sir, good morning po. Comment lang ho, sir, kasi nagsalita rin kahapon si Professor Joma Sison. And he said that, quote-unquote, obsessed daw po ang Pangulo sa martial law at ginagamit lang daw po, quote-unquote, scapegoat ang NPA para ipalaganap ang martial law nationwide.
Teka. Baka naman obsessed ba ang presidente? Siya nga, I see in him remorse why he would be declaring martial law. Di ba? Nakita niyo yun? I'm sorry that I have to declare martial law. He even apologized to the people of Marawi and to the people who have been inconvenienced. Is he obsessed by martial law? Is he obsessed by power? Kung ikaw ay pangunahing advocate ng federalism which distributes power to the regions, are you obsessed with power and martial law? Si Joe Masison, ewan ko, baka may obsession din siya. Is he obsessed with armed struggle? I don't know. But of course, there is democratic space, so the good professor is entitled to his own opinion about the president. But I must say, the president is not obsessed about martial law. If there is any official on the land who regretted having declared martial law, it would be the president. But, nandyan ang problema. Maraming imminent threats, mayroong real threats. And martial law could be one of the tools. So bakit din natin gamitin? Total, nakalagay naman sa Constitution yan. Bakit inilagay ang martial law sa Constitution? Wag na tayong masyadong magdebate dyan kasi ang martial law naman ay dinesisyonan na ng Korte Suprema, Supreme Court, to be valid. The declaration is valid and has its factual basis. So, obsessed si Presidente sa martial law? I think he is obsessed with good governance. He is obsessed with developing Mindanao. He is obsessed with serving the people. Can we say that of Mr. Joe Masison? Ayoko naman siyang tawaran. No? So let that be taken as a comment from somebody who is on the other side of the fence anyway.
Sir, yung sa second point lang po niya na gagamitin daw po sila, yung NPA, na scapegoat para to spread martial law nationwide.
Oh, scapegoat? Hindi mo naman kailangan maghanap ng scapegoat. All you have to do is, di ba? Paano ba nanalo ang presidente? Nakita niya kung ano yung dapat gawin eh. He doesn't have to look for scapegoats. The problems are already there, whether it is the NPA or the other structural defects in our government setup, or corruption, or drugs, or the terrorist. Scapegoat? Ano ba Tagalog na scapegoat?
Ginagamit.
No, Raki?
Sangkalan.
Sinasangkalan. And there are enough things we have to do a lot for Mindanao. At kung sila man ay balakid sa kailangan gawin sa Mindanao, doon sila papasok bilang scapegoat. Diba?
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, but as I said, it's all right for Mr. Joe Masison to say those, but I hope he reconsiders that point of view.
Last question, Joseph Morong.
Secretary Abella, how are you? Sir, sa US Congress lang po, some of the key, some highlights of the AI, they said during the hearing that there's an economy of murder in the Philippines, war affecting mostly the poor, and then there's no accountability on PNP officials. They cited the case of Superintendent Marcos. The government is distorting figures, and there is a threat to freedom of speech. I think this is a congressman or senator. They said that the human rights situation in the Philippines is appalling. Any comment on the other side, sir?
So,
What do you think of those findings, sir, by the AI, that there's an economy of murder, the police is behind some of the killings, they're contracting vigilantes?
we've covered that ground before, all right? And as far as we know, as the president would say, the real judge of the actions of the administration would be not so much these opinions, but the people actually. the people of the Philippines, the citizens, who find that there's more, it's safer in the streets. The crime index has dropped, and so and also in which case it would be, of course, we're not part of that particular role, a particular meeting. But it would really help if people listen to both sides of the story. But at the end, we say the president, the real judge of the situation would be the people, and who have given him overwhelming support and overwhelming approval. And so we trust that the people understand that they are really getting the better side of this deal.
Okay.
Sure, thank you.
Last question, Darrell.
Sir, follow-up lang po. European Union lawmakers visited the country this week, so they voiced concerns about the supposed deterioration, quote-unquote, of the human rights situation in the country. So they cited the importance of fair trials in the case of Senator De Lima and concerns on the possible restoration of death penalty and, of course, the drug war. So may we get your comments then, sir, on this?
Again, the situation, for example, the Senator De Lima is, we need to remind ourselves that she is in prison not for criminal charges, and we need to understand that. And regarding the other matters, I think we have sufficiently addressed these. Again, it's important that they check out their facts and figures. It's important that they listen to both sides, and especially to the people on the ground. It's the people show overwhelming support. Again, let me just go back to that. Show overwhelming support and appreciation. For example, and there's a tendency really to be listening to an echo chamber. I refer to it as an echo chamber. Let me just quote about Secretary Pernia's comment regarding supposed criticisms regarding their fear about what would happen in Mindanao, about the business environment. But as you know, as Secretary Pernia's statement said, business people are quite happy in Mindanao. In fact, welcome the situation of martial law in Mindanao. In other words, the president, in a sense, has already set an enabling environment for progress and peace in the nation, especially in Mindanao.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella. Thank you, National Security Advisor.
I just need to report on Bangon Marawi.
Bangon Marawi, yeah.
Task Force Bangon Marawi. As of July 17, the Subcommittee on Reconstruction Cluster of the Task Force Bangon Marawi, led by the Department of Public Works and Highways, extended 5,000 relief packs to 5 evacuation centers and to a madrasa. The DPWH also constructed 49 sanitary latrines in coordination with UNICEF and LGUs. The Department of Social Welfare and Development has provided a total of 155,737,032 worth of food and non-food items to its response centers and field offices responding to the conflict in Marawi City. The National Economic Development Authority reported that Canada, People's Republic of China, Germany, and the Republic of Korea sent humanitarian assistance for those affected by the Marawi crisis. Also, status of cash donations as of 14:55 yesterday, 20 July. AFP Marawi Casualty Land Bank, deposited in Land Bank, is equivalent to 9,657,873.23 centavos. And for the Marawi displaced persons, a total of 798,316.21. End of report.
Okay, thank you, Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella. Thank you, National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon. Thank you, Malacanang Press Corps. Back to our main studio sa Radyo Pilipinas and PTV.